Our guest in this week's Film Talk is one of the most talented actors alive today. After finishing a very successful film in 1971, he went into semi-retirement in the south of France. He is in this country to promote a new film called Permission to Kill. Dirk, Bogarde, welcome. What is Permission to Kill about?
Mike, that's a terribly long question to ask me just when I'm starting off. I'm nervous, so you stop shaking too. Now, what is it? I suppose you can call it, in blunt terminology, a cops and robbers thriller, political undertones, right? I play an insurance agent, as I said. I play an intelligence agent who has a job to do for his country, patriotically and all that stuff, whose mission is bent and wobbled by well-meaning people who don't understand what, in fact, he's up to and throw it out of gear. So then he has to take action which is repellent to himself, which is violent action. And, well, that you must see the film for the rest of it. That's basically, in essence, what it's about. It's about a good deal more than that, of course. But that's what it's about, really. In fact, really, Mark, it's a return to commercial cinema, more or less, for me, after what they call now the years, or your elders do, the years of esoteric wilderness.
How relevant was your own wartime experience of intelligence?
Not on the same par as this role I'm playing in this film at all, but I did know I was in intelligence in that time. Can you believe an actor was in intelligence? But they did crazy things in the war anyway. And in fact, I did base myself in this film on a lot of men that I did know in the army, in the war, during the German occupation. I used to sometimes, as my duty, I had to censor the mail. You know, you go on a roster, this week you do so. And one of the jobs is censoring mail. And I used to be so astonished to read the letters, which I had to. I always felt uncomfortable, but I had to read them, written by blokes that I knew very well, who worked with all day and knew exactly what they were doing. They were sort of picking targets to destroy and bomb people and, you know, planning all sorts of political things. And their letters home were so tender and gentle to their wives and to their mothers and their children and everything. You couldn't really believe that there was a black side and a white side so clearly divided.
I'm sorry.
Lily, I said only if it's urgent.
I think it is.
What's the matter with her?
She just keeps saying she wants to go back to Milan.
Where is she?
In the bar.
I'd like Neil to get ready with the set piece. Anything wrong?
I won't see him. I won't talk to him.
I see.
I don't trust you. And whatever you're planning is not good for him, and I won't go along with it.
You really are the most extraordinary woman, aren't you? You have an amazing capacity for self-destruction. You had a rich husband who gave you everything you wanted. You had security.
Don't need to be told my entire life history. I happen to have lived it.
And you chucked it all away, didn't you? Your son was conceived about 3 months before Dirk disappeared.
Oh.
Because he was born in that convent in Dijon 6 months after you got into France.
No, but he knows.
There's always somebody who knows about everything, Mrs. Peterson. Just a question of finding. Then you had him adopted, didn't you? When he was what, 11 months old. By Pierre and Marie Diderot of Saint Paul de Vienne, I think.
Right. I'll do anything you say. I'll talk to Alex. I'll do anything, but for God's sake, leave that boy alone.
When did you last see him?
Never since then.
Oh, but surely. Madame Diderot sends you a photograph every Christmas.
How did you get him here?
He has to see a specialist.
He's not ill.
No, he's not ill. It's just advice from the family doctor with a little pressure from me. You see, the specialist is one of my men.
Please wait. You didn't tell him about me.
Not yet.
Permission to Kill also stars Bogarde, who played opposite you in a film called The Angel Wore Red.
Oh.
Was that a particularly significant film for either of you?
A significant film for us? No, only that we loathed it. It was a real brute, the film. We hated it. We started off to make a film about a very important subject and matter, which is the Spanish Civil War. But after about 4 weeks of shooting, and we did it in the Seeker traditions, we tried to do a semi-documentary film, insofar as that we tried to be as real as possible, not wear makeup or wigs and all that rubbish. Miss Gardner was smashing, Ava was smashing, because she joined in on that, and she's a very beautiful woman, and she didn't mind a bit. She had her hair hanging down her back and an old dirty old dress on. But Hollywood saw the first 4 weeks and said, no, out, you know, it's ruining her image, and we had to do the whole thing again in new clothes and makeup and everything, so she just gave up. And I gave up, and there was no point in trying to fight them. We couldn't. So the film just died.
Can we go back even further to 1949, when you played the part of the villain in a film called The Blue Lamp? How important a film was that for you?
Well, I think it was probably very important, but it was very important for me at the time, because if the film was a success, great success, and they were going to drop my contract if it hadn't been. You're always under threat when under contract, you know. It only runs a year and then they take it up each option. And so that kept me going. But also, on the other hand, I had been an actor, if that's on your list, I don't know if it is, from before, when I started at 15 in 1935, as a naked slave in Alf's Button, of all things. And it was the first time I'd really had a chance to act, per se, as they say, per se, a stage performance. You know, and the man that directed it, Basil Dearden, alas, is no longer with us. But I'd been his stage manager many years before the war, when he was a stage director, so he kind of knew that I was a good enough actor or could do the job.
Don't be a fool, Riley. Drop that gun. You'll never get away with it.
Get back! Get back! I'll give you a get back!
It's all right, Mitchell.
Very good, sir.
You two take him away. I'll be along in a minute.
You all right, Mitchell?
Yes, thank you, Sergeant.
Nice work.
Thank you, sir. Afraid I've got this in a bit of a mess, Sergeant.
Oh, that's all right.
Where's your helmet? What for? You can't go around like that, you know, even properly dressed.
Was that the film that gave you the image of a belted raincoat and a gun?
No, it wasn't. That was a dreadful film before I'm going back, called Blackmail or something, which I ran along the roof of Harrods in pouring rain in a Macintosh, you know. But I only played about 2 films with Macintosh on.
How readily did you accept the part of Dr. Simon Sparrow in the first of the Doctor films?
Very readily. Everybody fought to stop me doing it because they didn't think I could play a comedy or play a gentleman part, because they thought I got a Cockney accent, and as you said, wore a raincoat all the time. But I got the role from Betty Box and Rafe Thomas, and I was delighted because it was a change for me, you know, it was a chance. But I'm not funny in those films, I hope you realise that. Everybody's funny around me, but I insisted on being totally real, totally sincere, like a student, like a medical student, so that I progressed to become a doctor, but that the audience had to take me totally seriously and believe in me as a doctor, which they did.
In Doctor at Sea, it was Brigitte Bardot's first English-speaking film. What was she like in those days?
I went to see Brigitte in Paris to vet her, as it were, for the film. She was very giggly and rather stupid and sort of, you know, teenagers were a bit silly in those days. But she was divine, totally sweet, and we spoke French all the time, and I said, you know, I've got to have her because she's so pretty, and she came to England, she was divine. She learned English in 4 weeks, and she learned it much quicker than I could learn French. But she was charming. I mean, I can't tell you any more about that.
Did you find that being cast as a romantic hero hampered your progression into roles as a more serious character actor?
Don't understand the question.
Well, I mean, having been cast as Dr. Simon Sparrow, did producers think that you were perhaps not suitable for acting in more serious roles?
Oh, yes, I was a big pardon. Yes, from that point of view, yes, they thought I couldn't act anything.
What prompted you to make Victim?
Let's throw you left fielder if I say it. The very eminent arrival of Bill Haley. Does it make any sense to you?
Not really, no.
No. Well, you know who Bill Haley is?
I've heard of it.
You know what rock and roll is?
Yes.
You know who the Beatles were?
Yes.
Yeah. But you know what they did?
Yes.
I mean, I'm interviewing you now.
Yeah.
They changed entirely. Will you agree with me? I mean, do you agree with me? Not will, but do you?
Yes, I do.
They changed entirely practically everything that we stand for in England. I mean, entertainment-wise, and traditionally, they opened the gates for the permissive England, the swinging London, all that rubbish, Carnaby Street, everything else followed after they came. They made a new sound, a new tone. Well, I had the nonce at 42 to realize that was going to come, and that the young generation was going to sweep me away and just drop me, because they didn't want film stars anymore. That was part of my heritage before the war, part of my generation. But the kids wanted something new. I'm using the kids in that flip way. But the younger people wanted something new. And they were going for a beat, they were going for music, they were going for pop stars. And losing us, we've never got back, we never will. The cinemas now, as you know, become a much more adult thing. So Victim was important for me because I realized I had to get out of the mold in which I was in, otherwise I'd be ending up doing television commercials for, you know, Ryvita or something.
And yet you returned to do Doctor in the Distress in 1963.
Those are contractual things. I had to come back and do those, but on the other hand, I still had made a vast audience following by those Doctor films, and I wasn't about to cheat on them and let them down. But after that Doctor, I couldn't go on, you know, doing any of those things because the stories were running out.
Did a film like Ill Met by Moonlight offer much scope for your skills as a serious actor?
No, but it did offer me enormous skills for the things I like doing, which is being out in the country and climbing things and jumping over things and being athletic generally.
A director who made several films was Joseph Losey. You have said that making The Servant was a piece of cake compared with Accident. Why?
Well, The Servant was a far simpler subject to do because it was a straightforward role for me, insofar as it was a character role. I knew it began, it went right up and went through and came and, you know, finished. I knew it was where it was placed. The man in Accident had nothing whatsoever to do with me in any form whatsoever. In some form I can understand The Servant better, that kind of person. The man in Accident was a very different person from myself, so I had to subjugate entirely my own personality, my own normal thoughts and feelings, and become someone quite different. I don't feel like a middle-aged Dom with a menopause in Oxford, so I had to understand how he felt and who he was and deliver him to a screen. That's why it was difficult.
Is it unfair to regard Modesty Blaise as insubstantial when compared with Joseph Losey's other films?
I think it's totally boring, and I think you're absolutely right. It was a very good idea. It went too far. Joe Losey can't direct comedy. He knows he can't. We both knew. I should never have been in it. The role was originally meant for Kathleen Hepburn, but she wouldn't play it, so I had to play it.
You said that you will be in the archives because of The Servant. Why?
Not I. The Servant will be in the archives.
Yes, but you will be remembered because of The Servant.
I didn't say anything about me being remembered.
Well,
they say that.
They say that.
The film will be remembered because it changed. It was a turning point in British cinema construction.
Excuse me, sir. My name's Barrett, sir.
Oh, God, of course. I'm so sorry I fell asleep. We've got an appointment.
Yes, sir.
What time?
3 o'clock, sir.
Well, what time is it now?
3 o'clock, sir.
Too many beers at lunch, that's what it is. Do you drink beer?
No, I don't, sir.
Well, come upstairs. We can sit down. just back from Africa. I'm quite liking it. What do you think of the house?
It's very nice.
Needs a lot done with it, of course. Damn lucky to get this place, actually. A little bit of wet rot, but not much. Sit down.
Thank you, sir.
Sit down. Well now, this post. What's happening is this. I'll be moving into this house in about 2 or 3 weeks' time. And I'm all alone at the moment, so I'll be needing a manservant, you see. I've seen 1 or 2 chaps already, but they didn't seem very suitable to me somehow. What? You've had experience of this kind of work, have you?
I've been in service for the last 13 years, sir. The last few years, I've acted as personal manservant to various members of the peerage.
Oh.
I was with Viscount Barr until about 5 weeks ago.
Oh, Lord Barr. My father knew him well. They died within a week of each other, as a matter of fact.
Why do you believe that Death in Venice marks the zenith of your career?
Because I don't think I could do better, but now I'm wrong. I can.
Which film have you done better?
I'm about to do it.
What is it called?
It's called, the one I'm talking about, it's technically at the moment, I've just come from lunch with the writer David Mercer. It's called Providence, but it'll probably be changed, the title, later. That's a working title. And we start shooting on that with Alain Resnais, who made Marienbad and Your Chemin Mon Amour. We start shooting that in February.
Finally, Dirk, Bogarde, a film which you've been in recently is The Night Porter. What sort of film is that, in your own words?
The film is a totally true film. It's a love story and a grave warning.
About what?
About totalitarianism, about lack of control, and about lack of discipline.
Dirk Bogarde, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.